And she's always saying to me, Naomi, if you need something, ask me first. I haven't even seen it once on Buyee. I haven't seen it once on Facebook. I haven't seen it anywhere. I would really like a cardboard cutout of him too in my room just here. Hey everyone, how's it going? So it's the end of June and I thought I would make a video talking about how my collections are going, just checking in to see what collections I've completed, what collections I'm continuing, and also what collections I'm starting. So firstly, I'm going to list all the groups that I'm going to mention in this video. Then I'm going to talk about the groups that I have finished collecting or I'm going to stop collecting. Then I'm going to talk about the groups that I've been progressing pretty well with and I'm going to continue collecting those groups. And finally, I am going to talk about new groups that I've started collecting, which is probably the most exciting part of this video. So at the end of this video, I'm going to be mentioning the 2 groups that I am going to be starting to collect and why I'm going to be starting to collect those groups. So at the start of this year, I made some collecting goals for myself and I actually made a video about those collecting goals. That video will be linked up here somewhere. So I'm actually quite surprised that I completed most of my goals that I set out at the beginning of the year. And I do have my notebook with all of my notes here, so I'm just going to be looking down sometimes to read off those notes. So the groups that I'm going to be talking about in this video today are in no particular order: Victon, 17, BTS, New East, Twice, ITZY, STAYC, 101, AB6, Ongsongwoo, Kang Daniel, and Arashi. So now moving on to the first part of this video, which are the groups that I have finished collecting. First off, I'm going to talk about 101. You guys would have seen a couple of my videos where I sorted out my 101 collection. So 101 was a really high priority for me to finish this year. As you guys may know, 101 disbanded quite a number of years ago and I was a very late fan to them. My priority this year was to finish collecting OT11 album photo cards and I can finally proudly say that I have finished. The only photo card that I still need is this one undivided Ongsongwoo photo card, but hopefully I'll find that. I will be doing a big photo card storing video once my items arrive from Buyee, and I'll be flipping through all of my 101 collection so you guys can see my completed binder. Next, moving on to AB6. So for AB6, I think I mentioned before, did I complete him already? Anyways, so my bias in AB6 was Youngmin, and as you guys know, Youngmin has left the group and has actually enlisted for the military now. So I have finished Youngmin's album photo card collection and I also got a couple of other anniversary things, other non-album merchandise. But Youngmin is basically finished and I've also sold my other OT4 album photo cards, which is kind of sad, but I did have a lot of friends that collect AB6, so I'm pretty happy that I got to give those away to good homes. Okay, now next moving on to my soloists. So my biases from 101 were Ongsongwoo and Kang Daniel, and I continued to collect their solo releases. So for Kang Daniel, recently I unboxed his Yellow album, which was the final of his Color series, and you can see that video up here. But yeah, I finished that for Kang Daniel, and I don't think I'll be collecting any more releases moving forward for him, just because I think it's a good place to finish now that I finished that Color collection, and depending on what he releases next, I am going to still obviously listen to the music and watch all of his stages and music videos and stuff, but I just won't be buying his physical releases. As for Ongi, well, he used to be one of my ultimate biases, but I feel like he's not really an idol anymore. I feel like he's more of an influencer slash model slash actor kind of person, and he's not really actively releasing any music, any dance practices or any covers of songs, so I feel like it's not worthwhile to always be hoping for a new release from him. For soloists in general, I prefer to collect groups because obviously a big thing for me is being able to see group members interact with each other, and you don't really get that with soloists. I feel like soloists have to hold a lot of ground by themselves, which is really hard sometimes. So yeah, for Ongsongwoo and Kang Daniel, I will not be actively collecting their releases anymore. Okay, now moving on to groups that I'm going to continue to collect. This makes up most of my channel anyways, so obviously I'm going to continue collecting these groups that I really enjoy collecting. So obviously the first group that I have to mention is Victon. Victon is one of the main groups on this channel, and I know a lot of you guys who watch are big Victon fans. So I'm going to continue collecting OT7 album photo cards for Victon. One of my goals for Victon is to stop getting sidetracked with non-album inclusions. So by this I mean things like pre-order photo card sets, Slow Acid, Just Bite, all of the promotions that they do where they have photo cards. I'm gonna try and not get those photo cards and just get album photo cards, because I feel like I've spent a lot of money getting OT7 non-album stuff to the point where I've been pretty much neglecting my album sets. So for Voice, The Future Is Now, I'm gonna call it VT Fin. So for VT Fin, I haven't even finished half of it still, so I'm still thinking whether I should just collect Seungshik and Sejun or just Seungshik for now for VT Fin, because 80 album photo cards is a lot. Yeah. As for previous album releases like Identity from Victon and things, I am trying to get those photo cards, but it's just hard because there's a lot of demand and not many people are selling, and Baiyi is very expensive for Victon, so I'm gonna see what I'm gonna do there. Yeah, I'm just gonna continue collecting OT7 Victon album photo cards. Okay, next group that I'm gonna talk about is New East. So New East, I collect Minhyun, and I have been pretty up to date over the past couple of years with collecting Minhyun, and even for New East's new release, Romanticize, I did go onto Baiyi and buy all of his photo cards, even though they were a bit pricey, but I really wanted to complete Minhyun and just keep him up to date as one of my non-alt groups. And I traded a couple of Romanticized cards as well, so everything is arriving to me pretty soon, which is really good. The only photo card that I need, and I need your help because there is this beret photo card from Nocturne that I still haven't found yet, because I feel like this photo card doesn't even exist. I haven't seen it anywhere. Every time there's someone on Instagram selling it, when I go onto the sale post, that photo card will be sold or pending already and I can never find it again. I haven't even seen it once on Baiyi, I haven't seen it once on Facebook, I haven't seen it anywhere. Okay, now moving on to BTS. For BTS, I collect Taehyung, as you guys know. And for Taehyung, I actually made this decision that was inspired by another YouTuber that I watch. So what she did for one of her collections is she kept a 9-pocket page of her favorite photo cards for this one guy and then sold all the rest of his cards. And that's what I've done for Tae's album photo cards, because I feel like it's a little bit overwhelming trying to find them, especially because they can often go up to $20 to $25 for one album photo card. So what I've done for Tae is I've cut down to a 9-pocket page of my favorite Tae photo cards, and I'm gonna keep those forever. And I sold the rest of my photo cards, which is only about 2 or 3, but it's good to have limits, I think. And as for his mini photo cards, I am gonna keep collecting them, so the Speak Yourself and the One mini photo card sets. For One, I have finished, and the rest of the cards are on the way to me. And for Speak Yourself, yeah, Speak Yourself is really expensive. The photo cards go for about $20 to $30 each, which is a lot. I might just bite the bullet and buy the rest of his cards, but for now I'm still missing 3 out of 8, which is pretty good, so I only need 3 more Tae cards and then I will be up to date with my Tae collection. Now moving on to my girl groups. So for girl groups, the first one that I want to talk about is ITZY. So for ITZY, my bias is Yeji and I collect Yeji, and she is another member that I have been pretty up to date with, similar to Minhyun. So Yeji photo cards are pretty easy to find and they're not too bad in terms of pricing. And so for their latest release of Guess Who, I ended up either trading or buying all of her 5 album cards. For the limited version of Guess Who, I still need those 2 photo cards, but apart from that, I'm up to date with Yeji. Now moving on to Twice. So for Twice, I collect the pre-order OT9 sets, and I also collect a couple of album OT9 photo cards. So for Taste of Love, their comeback, I still need the pre-order photo card sets. But the thing is, people in Australia are still receiving their albums. I need to wait for them to receive their albums and for them to put up things for sale, so I don't mind waiting. I mean, they're just pre-order sets, so they're pretty common. And talking about my other album OT9 photo cards, I feel like I bought all of the Feel Special photo cards, but a lot of them didn't end up arriving, which was a bit weird. So they might have gotten lost in the mail or something, and so I've bought the rest of them from Buyee. Anyway, I need about 3 or 4 more photo cards to complete my Feel Special OT9 sets that I've chosen, and after that I'll think about what I want to collect for Twice. I also need 1 more Sana photo card to complete my Eyes Wide Open retro sets. My retro sets are coming along quite nicely, and hopefully they'll be finished soon, because that Sana card is also quite hard to find. As for the Taste of Love OT9 album photo cards, they don't appeal as much to me as some of their other releases, and I just always choose a couple of sets to collect that I really like. So for Taste of Love, I don't particularly like any of them to collect OT9 that much, so I think I'm just going to take a break for this comeback and see what they come up with next. And lastly, let's talk about Arashi. So Arashi is a group that I have obviously loved for a really long time, and they're on hiatus now, so there's no new releases, anything to collect. But for Arashi, I did have a goal at the start of this year, and that goal was that I wanted to buy all of their albums and all of their singles. So actually for most of this year I haven't bought any Arashi merch or any Arashi CDs, and that is because I made a friend in Sydney and she is so lovely, and she used to be an Arashi fan back in 2011, 2012, and she's been gradually giving me all of her old merch. So I feel like because she's already giving me so many things, I don't really need to buy any new Arashi things. And she's always saying to me, Naomi, if you need something, ask me first. So she's been really helpful with that, and I'm just gonna continue receiving things from her for as long as she wants to give me things. Okay, now moving on to what is the most exciting part of this video, at least for me, and that is the new groups that I've started to collect. Okay, the first group that I want to talk about is 17. Now, looking down at my notes, I've just written, I adore Wonwoo. I haven't written anything else, but let's talk about Wonwoo. You guys can watch my previous video here where I stored so many Wonwoo photo cards. So there was this one time where I started liking Victon and I said I've fallen into a hole for Victon. Well, guess what? I've fallen into a hole for Wonwoo too. So basically Wonwoo is my ultimate bias now, and I am gonna collect everything that has his face on it. Is that too much? Yes. Everything Wonwoo, everything album, everything non-album, every poster, maybe not poster, every promo, every photo card. I would really like a cardboard cutout of him too in my room just here. And also as many 17 albums that I can get my hands on. A lot of 17 albums are out of print now and they're really hard to find sealed, but hopefully I'll be able to get at least unsealed decent copies of albums from 17, and hopefully I'll be able to unbox them in a similar album haul as my Victon album haul. So I kind of want to talk about as well the reason why I like 17. The first reason is everyone can sing, everyone can rap, and everyone can dance really well. Second reason is that even though they are 13 members, I feel like every single member in 17 is really close to every other member, which is really hard to do for a big group. I can say for 17 that I have never had a bad impression of them. My impression of 17 has always been this hardworking, talented, amazingly synchronized group. Okay, the next group that I want to talk about is STAYC. So my ultimate female bias, or at least one of them, is Jae from STAYC. She caught my eye in their debut performance of So Bad, and the reason that she caught my eye is this clip that I'm gonna insert right now, and you'll see why. So you can see that Jae has this amazing, beautiful low voice, and what I find even more amazing is that she is allowed to showcase that voice in all its glory. As someone who also has a really low voice for a female, I love how Jae is able to showcase her voice and really enhance STAYC's song in a very unique way. And I love how she isn't just being forced to change the pitch of her voice to a higher one just to suit a concept like some people force their artists to do. So I will be collecting OT6 STAYC album photo card inclusions. I feel like because they're still quite a new group, it's quite easy to start collecting them. They only have 24 album photo cards in total right now for their 2 releases. I was thinking of collecting 3 members, so I was thinking of collecting Jae, Yoon and Siun, but I find that I am more motivated to collect if I collect all the members of a group or one member of a group. So I've decided to collect OT6 STAYC, which is really exciting. So yeah, that is it for the video today. I just wanted to check in and do kind of a half yearly or end of financial year checkup on my collections. And as always, please recommend down in the comments if you think there's any other groups that I should check out. I'll definitely add them to my wish list of groups that I want to start collecting. So that's it for the video today. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!